Our question is that for shareholders, right? How TSMC is going to mitigate this potential geopolitical risk? For example, whether you are going to further expand your U.S. capacity or even share the ownership, right, with the U.S. government, and maybe a technical question to Wendell. For today, right? If we are shipping chips to the U.S. customers, do we need to pay for the U.S. tariff?
Okay, sorry. So Charlie's second question is around sort of overseas expansion and geopolitical risk. He notes the comments from former President Trump a few days ago that Taiwan Semiconductor has taken 100% of the business. So his question is really, how does TSMC plan to mitigate the geopolitical risk? Does this include expanding capacity overseas, particularly in the U.S.? Would we consider, I think part of his question was some JV or joint investments, whether with government or whether with partners? And the last question, I think, was more for Wendell about the tax or the tariffs, so to speak.
Okay, Charlie, so far we did not change any our original plan of expansion of our overseas fab. We continue to expand in Arizona, in Kumamoto, and maybe future in Europe. No change to our strategy. We continue our current practice. You mentioned about the JV. No. Okay.
On the tariff, not that we know of. Normally, if there's an import tariff, the customers will be responsible for that. But no discussion, nothing.
Okay. Thank you, Charlie. All right, we'll take the next question from Bruce Liu from Goldman Sachs in the front, then we'll move online.
Thank you for taking my question. All right, my question is that why don't we take up our gross margin or structural profitability target? I mean, TSMC has been saying for selling your value for past couple quarters without changing the margin target, i.e., most likely you are passing through all the costs. But, please, I do recall in 2021, I mean, TSMC do raise the gross margin target by then because to support the future growth for more R&D. As the technology continues to be enhanced and more difficult, and one of your customers, at least, is supportive that to suggest that you should charge even more. So my question is that why is that you don't raise your gross margin target when you are trying when you try to sell your value, which we believe you deserve much higher value.
Okay, so thank you, Bruce. So Bruce's first question is about profitability and value. Bruce seems to agree that TSMC is providing value to our customers. He also notes in 2021, indeed, a few years ago, our gross margin target, long-term gross margin target, was about 50%, and we're able to increase that to 53% and higher. So his question is really, with everything that is going on today, with the value of our technology enabling our customers more and more, why doesn't TSMC increase or revise up our long-term gross margin target from the current 53 and higher? Is that the essence? Yeah.
Bruce, thank you for recognizing TSMC's value. I'm working with our customer. As I said, this kind of pricing is strategic. And certainly, we want to share our value. Changing the target at this moment, I think I would like to emphasize 53% and higher. Please put more attention to and higher. The number, I'm not going to change it at this time. When I have a more conversation with my customer and discuss with them, and I probably will give you in the higher portion. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you. My next question is for advanced packaging. So management used to mention that advanced packaging margin was lower than the corporate edge, but with higher ROICs. But given the recent progress for the CoWoS and everything, do we see a much better profitability for the CoWoS? And given that it was so difficult to expand the capacity, are you planning to work with more partners to increase your CoWoS supply, which will solve your current supply and demand issues?
Okay, thank you, Bruce. So Bruce's second question is around advanced packaging. Part of it is in terms of the profitability. He notes we used to say, which is true, it's lower than the corporate average profitability, but can earn a similar return or ROE. But his question is now, with more and more CoWoS demand and greater scale, is the profitability of advanced packaging, I think, approaching or at or above the corporate average? And also, given the tight supply, would we consider to work with more partners to help increase the capacity for CoWoS to support our customers' growth?
You are right. For advanced packaging, the gross margin used to be much lower than the corporate average. Now it's approaching corporate average. We are improving it because of scale of the economics, and we put a lot of effort to reduce our cost. So gross margin is greatly improving in these 2 years. As for the working with OSAT partners, yes, we are doing it because of I just answered the question, say whether the CoWoS capacity is enough or not. Is not enough and in great shortage, and that will limit my customers' growth. So we are working with our OSAT partner and try to give more capacity to my customer so that they can grow healthily, and so the TSMC's wafer can be sold healthily.
Okay, thank you, CC. Thank you, Bruce. Operator, can we move to the first participant online for their question, his or her questions, please?
Yes, the first one, we got Brett Simpson, Aerospace.
Yeah, thanks very much. My question was really about your capacity plans for the next node. That's N2, including A16. We're hearing that AI chip makers are looking to migrate more aggressively from N-1 to the leading edge, particularly due to backside power, because they're trying to lower their power budgets going forward. So my question, can you support this move? And if so, should we be expecting N2 A16 to be structurally a much bigger node than we've seen in the past few nodes? Thank you.
Okay, Brett, thank you. So Brett's first question is on capacity planning, particularly at the leading edge, N2 and A16. So he notes rightly that AI customers are migrating aggressively from N-1 in the past to the most leading node. He notes particularly A16 driven by the interest in backside power. So his question is, can we support this move in terms of capacity to support the customers? And also whether thus N2 and A16 will be a much bigger node than our nodes in the past.
Brett, you are right. All the people want to move into kind of a power efficient mode, and so they are looking for the more advanced technology so that they can save power consumption. And so a lot of my customers want to move into N2, N2P, A16 quickly. We are working very hard to build the capacity to support them. Today is a little bit tight. Not a little bit, actually, today is very tight. I hope in next year or the next 2 years we can build enough capacity to support this kind of a demand. Today, yes, we are working hard to support them, and enough, not yet, but we are working hard to get it.
Does that answer your first question, Brett?
Okay, thank you. Yeah, that's great, Jeff. Thank you, CC Wei. My follow-up question was for Wendell. I wanted to just dig into the gross margin dilution from N3. Where is that at today? And does the introduction of N3E structurally improve your N3 returns? I guess N3E is less capital intensive, there's less EUV layers. So I'm keen to understand if this drives better economics for TSMC, particularly as you start to ramp more N3 capacity in the second half of this year. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Brett. So Brett's second question is on the gross margin dilution from N3. He notes that N3E uses less EUV layers, less capital intensity. So his question is, as we ramp N3 more and more, does N3E structurally improve the returns and gross margin of N3 as a whole?
Okay, Brett, we don't break it down between the different nodes within the family, but I can share with you, overall speaking, as we said before, N3 takes a longer while to reach the copper mark. In the past, it was about 8 to 10 quarters. For N3, we're looking at 10 to maybe 12 quarters. But it is improving, and we expect it to continue to improve. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Brett. Operator, let's take the next set of questions from the next participant on the call, please.
Next one to ask question, Charles Shi from Nikkei. Go ahead, please.
Hi, thanks for taking my questions. Maybe the first one, I just want to follow up. Wendell, I think I heard you talking about that potentially more N5 to N3 conversion, maybe beyond what you are trying to do right now, the conversion. Just want to understand the overall philosophy here, because I think in the past, the TSMC does do this node-to-node conversion quite actively, let's say 10 nanometer to 7 nanometer, and probably even earlier 20 nanometer to 16 nanometer. And I think you told us basically treat 10 and 7 as one large node, 20 and 16 as one large node. Should we start to really think about maybe 5 and 3 are just one big node, and maybe more conversion? We should think about more of the N3 capacity growth will come from conversion going forward, less from the greenfield investment. That's the first question.
Okay, Charles. So Charles' first question is really look at our conversion strategy. He notes that, we have always talked about building in tool commonality to provide us flexibility. We have done so in the past at certain nodes like 20 and 16, 10 and 7. So his question is really, we have said that we potentially convert more N5 tools to support the strong demand for N3 capacity. So his question is, should we, investors, analysts, start to think about N5 and N3 as one big node?
Right. You mentioned about 12 and 16. They are a big family. 7 and 10 are a big family. But 5 and 3 are not a big family in our definitions. At the same time, there are node-to-node tool commonality in TSMC is pretty high. So for 5 and 3, the commonality of tools is over 90%. And these two nodes are adjacent. They're all in Tainan Science Park. And so it's very easy to do the conversions. Did I answer your questions?
Yes. May I ask a second question?
Certainly.
Thanks. Maybe a question about CoWoS. I think I heard CC, you said maybe there's some technical difficulty on my side. I just want to clarify. Maybe you may double the CoWoS capacity again in 2025, but a little bit more technical question. I do want to better understand the technology constraints because your customers seems to be migrating from CoWoS S to the more advanced version CoWoS L, CoWoS R, and we learned that CoWoS L R does not require TSV, does not require a large silicon interposer. Does that help, at least to some degree, the capacity constraints you are facing on overall CoWoS? And does that help to maybe to achieve that goal of maybe getting to the supply-demand balance some point in 2025, 2026? That's a two-part question. Thank you.
Okay, Charles. So Charles' question is really on CoWoS. First, he would like to clarify. We said that CoWoS capacity is more than doubling in 2024. He said, did we say, is he correct to understand we said it will double again in 2025? That's the first clarification. And then he would like to know, as customers migrate from CoWoS S to CoWoS L and CoWoS R solution, a lot of technical challenges or benefits, changes, sorry, not challenges. Does it help alleviate the capacity constraints, and would that allow CoWoS to reach supply-demand balance in 2025? So one to clarify and one on the different solutions.
Well, boy, Charles, you really know all the detail of the technology. You know the CoWoS R, CoWoS S, CoWoS L, blah, blah, blah. All this kind of thing is because of a customer's requirement. So even the same customer, they have a different approaches for their different product. When I say that we double the capacity, this is summing all the different versions of the CoWoS together. Which portion is really double, which portion is much more than the other one, I'm not going to share with you because this is related to my customers' demand. So from last year to this year, we are more than doubled. And as I said, from this year to next year, we want to double again, or probably we want to more than double again. But still, I have to work with our OSAT partner to increase the overall supply to support my customer. Whether that's this kind of different version of the CoWoS will give me some flexibility today, yes and no, because different version has a different tool set. But in common, some of the tool can be used by all the CoWoS. Okay, but different version have a different demand.
Okay, thank you, CC. Thank you, Charles. We'll come back to the floor for the next two questions, please. We'll take the first one from Laura Chen from Citigroup, and then we'll go to Sunny Lin from UBS.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you for taking my question. My first question is also on the advanced node. I remember, CC, you mentioned earlier that every clients are now engaged with you on the 2 nanometers migration. So I'm just wondering that when we enter in maybe 2026, the second year, can we expect that the revenue contribution initially will be larger than what we had comparing to N3? And also wondering that since the performance is much better, so can we expect the dilution period will also be shorter than N3?
Okay. Sorry. I'm sorry. So Laura's first question is about N2, basically that almost every customer is engaging with TSMC on 2 nanometer technologies. So her question is, do we expect the revenue contribution from N2 in 2026, therefore, to be larger than compared to N3 at a similar point in time of the ramp? And also correspondingly, would the N2 margin dilution be less or better than N3, basically?
I will give this kind of a money's question to the CFO.
Okay. All right, Laura, the revenue, yes, it's going to be bigger. Okay. Gross margin dilution, it'll be faster to reach corporate average. Okay.
That's very clear and helpful. Thank you. And also, my second question is also on the packaging side. So we know that last time we also discussed and the Edge AI will also benefit for TSMC in terms of the advanced nodes, die areas. Just wondering that, do you also see your Edge AI device clients, they are moving to 3D IC or SOIC anytime in the next 2 years? Or before that happening, can we expect that more clients on the smartphone side, they will also adapt maybe info first? Because so far, our understanding is that info, you only have one advanced, one single client. I'm just wondering that if we see that more clients to move to on the Edge AI side on advanced packaging. Thank you.
Okay, so Laura's second question is very specific, but again, in regards to advanced packaging, with more and more customers working on Edge AI devices, without being overly specific, but what does it mean or the implication for advanced packaging solutions? Do we expect in the next 2 years to see these Edge AI customers start to use SOIC or 3D IC? Particularly smartphone, will they still be using info, or will they also consider these solutions as well? Is that correct, Laura? Okay.
Well, very technical questions. Let me share with you, as my customer moving into 2 nanometer or A16, they all need to probably taking the approach of chiplets. So once you use a chiplet, you have to use in advanced packaging technologies. On the Edge AI, for those kind of smartphone customer, as compared with the HPC customer, HPC is moving faster because of bandwidth concern, latency, of footprint, all those kind of things. For smartphone customer, they need to pay more attention to the footprint as well as the functionality increase. So you observe my big customers taking the info first, and then for a few years nobody catch it up. They are catching up. Okay.
Thank you very much, CC.
Okay. Thank you, Laura. We'll take the next question from Sunny Lin from UBS, and then we'll go back to the call.
Thank you, Jeff. Good afternoon, CC and Wendell. Thank you for taking my questions. So my first question is on your business opportunities for smartphone and PC. Last few years, both were like X growth for quite some time. And so how we should think about the units and silicon content for the coming 2-3 years? First part, a lot of questions on the tight supply for 5 and 3 nanometer. And so are your customers engaging with you early on the planning into 2025 capacities for a better upgrade cycle? And then for silicon content, recall a few years back when 5G just started to ramp, you used to provide the silicon content expectations for 5G high-end and mid-end and low-end smartphones. So I wonder at this point of time if you have any estimates for AI for smartphone going to next 2-3 years.
Okay, several parts to Sunny's first question. She's looking at smartphone and PC. So the first part is she wants to know, in terms of unit and silicon content, what is our expectation for smartphone and PCs in the next few years? N5 and N3 supply is very tight in terms of the capacity. Do we have enough capacity to support a potential unit or upgrade cycle? And last but not least, she's asking us to quantify the silicon content per device, per segment from Edge AI.
That's a very long question, but let me answer the content first. AI is so hard, so that's right now, everybody, all my customers want to put their AI functionality into the edge devices. And so the die size will be increased. Okay, how much? I mean, it's different from my customer to customer's product. But basically, probably 5 to 10% die size increase will be a general rule. Unit growth, not yet. Okay, because of we did not see a kind of a unit growth suddenly increase, but we expect this AI functionality will stimulate some of the demand, so stimulate the replacement to be shorter. So in terms of a unit growth, that in a few years later, probably 2 years later, you will start to see a big increase in the edge device, that's a smartphone and the PC.
And will we have enough capacity to support?
That's the one I try to avoid the answer. It's very, very tight. And we are working very, very hard to get enough capacity to support my customer from now all the way to next year to 2026.
Got it. Thank you, CC, for the answer. So my second question is try to look at the demand profile from different perspectives. If we look back in 2021 or early 2022, back then demand was also pretty high. Customers were very aggressive on the demand forecast. Now looking at Gen AI, obviously the technology has lots of great potential, but a new technology could also have lots of volatilities when it starts to ramp. And so how are we managing the volatilities of the demand? Why do you think this time around is different versus COVID period? How do we get comfortable with our capacity planning?
Okay, thank you, Sunny. So Sunny's second question goes back to TSMC's capacity planning and CapEx framework. So she notes today generative AI related demand is very strong, but she also notes a few years ago, back in 2001 and 22, demand was also very strong. Many customers were also very positive or upbeat on the future demand. And so today, with such strong generative AI demand, how does TSMC plan its capacity appropriately? How do we manage, I think your word was volatility, how do we manage the risk, basically, I guess, of not overbuilding capacity in this type of environment?
I thought I explained that our capacity planning process, right, and the investment, we have, I put a wording of discipline. That means we are not going to repeat the same kind of mistake that we have in 2021, 2022. Now this time, again, we look at the overall very big demand forecast from my customer. And so I look into actually the whole company with many people now examining and study the really is AI is so useful, will be used by a lot of people or not. And we test ourselves first. Inside TSMC, we are using AI, we are using machine learning skill to improve our productivity. And we found out it's very useful. And so I also in the line to buy my customers a product. And we have to form in the line. I get no privilege, I'm sorry, but it's useful. And so I believe that this time AI's demand is more real than 2 or 3 years ago. At that time, it's because of people are afraid of a shortage, and so automotive, everything you name it, they are all in shortage. This time, AI alone, only AI alone, it will be a very useful tool for the human being to improve all the productivity in our daily life, be it in medical industry or in any product manufacturing industry or autonomous driving, everything, you need AI. And so I believe it's more real. But even with that, we also have a top-down, bottom-up approach and discuss with our customer and ask them to be more realistic I don't want to repeat the same kind of mistake 2 or 3 years ago, and that's what we are doing right now.
Great to know. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Operator, can we move on to the next participant from the line, please? Okay, if not, then maybe we'll take the last 2 questions from the floor, or 1 or 2. Let's start here and then here. So we'll start with Arthur live from Macquarie.
Hi, CC and Window and Jeff. Thanks for taking my question. Arthur live from Macquarie. I used to cover the downstream tech and especially data center before, and so I want to ask CC about the SPR, because I think this is very important from the data center perspective. So when you bring the new technology can save around 20% power, can we also think about you can save the total system's power consumption by another 20%? So it's it's a big change, and from the customer you ask, you spoke to, is they can also you save their total cost of operation, so it becomes the more you buy, the more you save. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so Arthur's first question, he would like to understand more about Super Power Rail, or our best-in-class backside power solution as it relates to data center demand. He notes, as we said, that it brings greater power efficiency from the chip level. His question, without specific numbers, but what does he mean for the system level power consumption saving? What does it mean for our customers' ability in terms of total cost of ownership, in terms of the power savings? And does it mean that the more you buy, the more you save?
The more you buy TSMC's wafer, the more you save. Yes. But sorry, I just want to, I like my customer. Your question, Arthur, you say that 20% save in the chips power consumption. Does that directly reply to, indicate that the system power consumption will reduce by 20%? Probably not, because of the whole system, including the connection, including the networking, including the processor's power consumption. So unless every component save 20%, then you can achieve 20%. But again, the accelerator or the CPU is a big portion of the whole system's power consumption. So even if it is not a 20%, it's a significant portion of it. And so that's why all my customers want to using the leading edge, and they are very aggressive to move into the 2 nanometer technology.
Thank you. So I also, encourage company to do the right thing. So energy efficiency computing is definitely our goal for human beings. And then, so I also would like to get more color about when we go into the A16, and when we expand the capacity, what do you think the biggest bottleneck would be?
Okay, so Arthur's second question is in terms of A16, what would be the biggest bottleneck to expand our capacity of A16 to support our customers, if any?
We always say that, when TSMC want to expand the capacity, we need the land, we need the electricity, we need the talented people, and so all the above. Okay.
Thank you, CC.
Okay, thank you. And then in the interest of time, we'll take questions from the last participant on the floor, which is Brad Lin from Bank of America Merrill Lynch.
Thank you, Jeff, for taking my question. So I have 2 questions. The first one would be on during the Computex, we obviously have seen quite some big tech companies announce that they are going to accelerate the product launch cadence. So what's the implication to TSMC? Should that give TSMC a better visibility on the pipeline and also the capacity planning? And on the other side, so what are the major challenges that you might face with this faster cadence?
Okay, so Brad's first question is that Computex recently, several companies announced their intention to accelerate their product cadence or product launches. So his question is, what does this mean, implications to TSMC in terms of capacity planning, in terms of supporting our customers, et cetera, et cetera. Is that right? Okay.
Well, we like this kind of a trend because of TSMC is very good at the leading edge development. And so every product when they design, it at least takes 1.5 years to 2 years. So we got this kind of message, but quite a long time ago. My customer announced it because they are so happy, and so we are happy also because they want us to share our value. So I take that advice. But Goku don't laugh. Okay, so to answer your question, yes, we have been prepared, and not only because of in June they announced it, much earlier we already discussed with them, and we prepare for these kind of changes.
Got it. Thank you very much. So I would assume that will help us, well, kind of sell the value easier. So the second question will be on the, well, obviously we also see the bigger footprint of the AI chips. So, well, there are quite some activities about the fan-out panel level packaging. So do you think that solution will become a mainstream in the mid to long run, or does TSMC have any plan to do the related investment? Thank you.
Okay, so Brad's second question is that, again, with AI-related chips, that they're larger and larger die sizes. So his question is in terms of advanced packaging, and specifically fan-out panel-level packaging. Is this something that TSMC is looking at or exploring to do? Would this be something for TSMC in the mid to long term?
Yes, we are looking at this kind of a panel levels fan-out technology. But the maturity today is not yet. So I personally, I would think it's about at least 3 years later. Okay, within these 3 years, we don't have any very solid solution for a die size bigger than 10 times of the radical size. Today we support our customer all the way to 5x, 6x. Chip size. I'm talking about the field size, the biggest field size. 3 years later, I believe the panel fan-out will be start to be introduced, and we are working on it.
And we will be ready for it as well.
Of course.
Yes. All right. Thank you, CC. Thank you, Brad. Thank you, everyone. This concludes our Q&A session. Before we conclude today's conference, please be advised that the replay of the conference will be accessible within 30 minutes from now, and the transcript will become available 24 hours from now, both of which are going to be available through TSMC's website at www.tsmc.com. So thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We hope everyone continues to stay well, and we hope you will join us again next quarter. Goodbye, and have a great day.
他是有说，因为他讲说53%然后大家就觉得说，
哇，来看嘛这创啥啊？哎呀，趣味的。我唔知，你先来吧。
虽然有被这些部分的影响，但是
较紧张的啦。我这场要看无啊？
要不到家。要请大家注意，还有 and higher。
一定要配到我，真的要配。我也是啊，以前像哦，厉害啊，刚扣了，配完就好了。对对对。目前没有。
在隔壁，没有，他不是有会后，没有啦。这里面没有，因为还是在这个，对的，可是好像有吗？左边，往左边，左边是台子，我阶梯哦。
哎。
哇，这样拍不到啊！
你们全部挡住了。
台上吗？还是
那个前面几滴妹妹都低一点嘛。
前面蹲低的。我这边拍不到。
前面蹲下，背包包蹲下。
可以。
安利在啊。
好，可以，好。 好，就这样。非凡麦聊一下，
有非凡可以，
非凡的麦拿出来，拿第一点，
把脸这个嘴巴给盖住。
现在有跟客户谈涨价。
刚刚我们 CC 在说啊，我们要反映我们的价值啊。
这部分的话是怎么样？
就是反映我们的价值。
所以我们现在目标是维持原定。
就是 reflect our value， 我想这应该很清楚。
相较于3个月前看，现在市况来讲是哪一些部分比较强？
过去3个月，我们看到那个比较强的这个 demand 是从 AI 有关的生意，还有高阶的手机来的。那这也是刚刚有人问说，为什么好像毛利率的展望看起来比3个月前要好？那就是因为看到这些需求很高，那也使得我们的使用率变高。那这个也使得我们的毛利率变高。但是我们把下限提高了，所以那就是 range 这个变窄。所以从这个角度看，它就是往上，中间值往上。是，因为原来是低20几到中20几，现在是稍微高于中20几。对不起，哪一样的回答？每一个地方，每一个这个不同的国家都有不同的考量，所以在那边我们事实上现在不考虑。对，要刚刚的问题就是美国嘛，就是不同的情况。没有变化，就是按照我们的计划在进行。美国第一个厂明年开始生产，日本第一个厂也是明年开始生产。欧洲预计今年下半年要动土。是。嗯哼，那什么时候会可以拿到？所以我刚刚是建议大家，因为每一个季的季报里面都会有实际的数字，啊，那跟每一个政府它给这个补贴的方法也都不一样，所以我刚刚就建议大家说，不要去看那个预测的金额，我们每一个 quarter 你都可以看到实际的金额。那我刚刚也跟他们说，我们在未来在报告资本支出的时候，还是用总额来讲，因为总额的话，你比较容易跟过去来比较。好，那你要看到说我实际收了多少，那就每一季看那个财报的金额，那就因为很快嘛，3个月一下就到了，所以一下就可以看出来。刚刚 CC 已经回答了，我们的策略不变。我们的计划还是不变的。
前董事长就提到说，现在股价还蛮低的啦，最近好像也不会动。公司这一块怎么看？你们是不是信心？股价会不会有点委屈？
我们是不评论股价，但是我们对长期是有信心的。
那个 N2P 就是 second half 2026年的 second half， 这个是那 N2是一直是 second half 2022
是没有变。 对，刚刚就是讲说，现在还看不出实际的数字，因为你要设计一个晶片，要1年、1年半以后才出得来。好，那今年比较难说，但是那个 silicon 的content 是会比较好。那 CC 的讲法就是大概比一般的大5到10%。那可是实际的，你也许明年会比较清楚，尤其是明年有机会看到比较多的、比较快的换机的这个需求。OK， 好，谢谢。还好我没有带子，我讲什么就被你听到。好，谢谢温董，谢谢。这边，谢谢。
我们那个联网没传过去了吗？联网没有，不需要的话就算了。联网还没接啊。